Good morning and welcome to our morning meditation on this April 29th. We are in the midst of Ramadan, and Reverend Chris Kell is going to focus on that Muslim festival for this meditation. She's going to include some beautiful prayers, and prior to the meditation, give us a little background and information about this holy period. Please enjoy, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
So I expect you all know Ramadan is a Muslim religious observance, and it takes place in the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, which is why it moves around, because the Islam follows the lunar calendar, not the Gregorian calendar like we do. So that means days move around. It goes backwards 11 days every year. So that's why Ramadan sometimes is at Christmas and sometimes it's around now and any time in between. So it started on April 23rd and it goes through May 23rd. And let's see, it really moves around about 11 days. And Ramadan is the second most sacred month, or excuse me, it's the most sacred month of the year for Muslims, and it's broken down into 3 10-day periods called ashras. The Holy Prophet said, "This is a month, the first part of which brings Allah's mercy, the middle of which brings Allah's forgiveness, and the last part of which brings emancipation from the hellfire." Though the entire month is a blessing, one night called the Night of Power is especially greater in virtue and the holiest night of Islam. It's considered more holy than the nights of 1,000 months. It honors the night when the first verses of the Holy Quran were revealed to the Prophet. Ramadan is considered the most venerated and blessed month of the Islamic year. Prayers, fasting, charity, self-accountability are especially stressed during this time, and various religious observances associated with Ramadan are celebrated during the month. Fasting is one of the 5 pillars or duties of Islam, along with the testimony of faith, prayer, charitable giving, and making a pilgrimage to Mecca. And with some exceptions, all Muslims are required to take part every year. I don't know how they're going to handle the pilgrimage this year, but I'm sure they'll make some accommodations for it. If you look at pictures of all the mosques in the areas around the world that are particularly celebrating Islam, you'll see that most of them are quite empty. The most prominent event of this month is the fasting, and it's observed by a lot of Muslims, not all, but a lot. The practice of fasting serves several spiritual and social purposes. It reminds us of our human frailty and our dependence on God for sustenance. Shows us what it feels like to be hungry and thirsty, so we feel compassion for and a duty to help the poor and needy, and to reduce the distractions in life so we can more clearly focus on our relationship with God. The fast is intended to be an exacting of deep personal worship in which Muslims seek a raised level of closeness to God. Its purpose being to cleanse the inner soul and free it from harm. The act of fasting is said to redirect the heart away from worldly activities. And poorly observing the fast is properly observing the fast is supposed to induce a comfortable feeling of peace and calm. I have to admit, as an aside, that when I was in seminary, I found it very difficult to study Islam because of the dichotomy between the theory and dogma and teachings of Islam compared to what we see so much in the world today. And so if you're thinking along those lines, just remember that like all the rest of us, not all Muslims are the same, and that there are probably a good many more who observe this than the ones who do not. Although Ramadan is intense, it's also a time of celebration and joy, and a time to be spent with loved ones. At the end of Ramadan, there's a big 3-day celebration called the Festival of Breaking the Fast, and it's similar to the Christian Christmas in the sense that it's a religious holiday where everyone comes together for big meals with family and friends, exchanges presents, and generally has a lovely time. So after all of that time, and you can imagine how fasting must be during the summer versus during the cooler months, because in the summer, you know, you get hot, you sweat, I mean, you're really thirsty. And so you go from before dawn until after sunset with nothing to drink. I mean, you can't even have a sip of water. So I don't know if I could do that, but you know, there it is. That's what they do. In the wintertime, it's got to be a lot easier, I guess, but summer's got to be terrible. But remember, too, where it came from. It came from a really hot, dry, intensely scorched environment. So I would think that that would be significant in what was given to them, the teachings that they were given to them, so that they would learn how to suffer and overcome suffering in that sort of environment. Anyway, that's my little exposition on Ramadan. There's plenty on the internet if you care to know more. So today, well, I just want to mention that zikr, and if I massacre these words, I apologize. I tried to stick to English as much as I can. But zikr, or prayers recited over and over again in the remembrance of God. I'm sure you've seen a lot of people with the beads, and they, you know, they're with their beads, and what they're doing is praying zikr, these prayers that are repetitious, and they're it's an integral part of Muslim life, and especially important during Ramadan. It's a great way to connect with God while doing just your mundane chores. I think you mentioned yesterday, Melanie, about the mystics who were able to find God even in ordinary everyday things, and that's what this is. You say these prayers while you're doing things like driving or waiting in line and washing the dishes and preparing food, and to recite those prayers over and over and over again is what you do. And those, if the prayers go, it's very simple and very easy. You can remember it easily. Thanks be to God. Praise be to God. I seek forgiveness from God, and God is the greatest. Today's meditation will consider the 3 ashras of Ramadan, the first 3, or the 3 10-day periods, and the meaning of each period, followed by a dua, D-U-A, which is a prayer of supplication, regarded by Muslims as a profound act of worship. After a brief description of the focus of each ashra, I'll ring the bell and read the dua, and then we'll pause for reflection. And then at the end of the meditation, I'll ring the bell twice so that you'll know not to wait for another dua. Okay? So we'll begin. So as you settled into your chair, relax and breathe. Let go of all wandering thoughts. Breathe deeply and release your breath slowly. Bring your attention to that still place where the divine resides in you. The first ashra are the days of mercy, when we seek forgiveness from Allah, as His mercy is boundless, and we ask for His compassion to be showered upon us. The objective of the first ashra is to practice being merciful to our fellow beings by giving charity, the act Allah loves the most, treating others well, by controlling our temper. Helping people wherever, whenever, and never saying no to them, because Allah helps those who helps others. O my Lord, forgive and have mercy. You are Ar-Rahim, the most merciful. The second ashra are the days of forgiveness, when we seek forgiveness for all sins committed and repent unto Allah. Seek forgiveness, feel sorry, and desist from sinning again. These are the days when Allah's forgiveness is at peak. He forgives only those who prostrate before them with a shamed spirit and pledge in heart not to do the same again ever. Allah loves those who repent their sins. Truly, He is Al-Ghafar, the ever-forgiving. While asking for Allah's forgiveness, we give forgiveness to others for all their mistakes and hurts against us. I seek forgiveness from Allah, my Lord, for every sin I committed. The third ashra, the days of seeking refuge, unveils those days whose reward is the highest among the rest of days. The Prophet Muhammad reportedly said, "When the month of Ramadan starts, the gates of heaven are opened, and the gates of hell are closed, and the devils are chained." The days of the third ashra are for beseeching sanctuary from hell. O Allah, save me from the fires of hell. Thanks be to God. Praise be to God. I seek forgiveness from God. God is the greatest. When you're ready, come back, join us.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's morning meditation. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.